Just like last year at Brussels, it's a very interesting show, very vertically integrated from the software to the hardware to the materials level. So we are always learning, having interesting exchange with the visitors, with the customers. So it's always a super complete experience being in AutoSense and InCabin. So we are a global chemical company providing engineering solutions for solving or mitigating physical phenomena like thermal loads, electromagnetic noise, these kind of challenges that the customer is observing on the hardware level of the electronics. So for active safety, this kind of phenomena can be more critical because it could jeopardize the function, the performance, or the reliability of the sensor, the camera, a LiDAR, or a radar, or the control computing unit. So we have a dedicated portfolio that is fit for automotive requirements, the temperature resistance, the vibrations, all the different requirements automotive is demanding from those materials. That is how we contribute for the active safety performance. Certainly, and completely. I would say Henkel has been present in the ADAS market for more than 15 years with ultrasonic sensors, with first generation of cameras and radars. But with these new mandates, it becomes more critical the performance of the material. Of course, the performance of the sensor or the control, but also of the material. Looking into AEB or automatic emergency braking, pedestrian emergency braking, it is important for the sensor to be able to have long range detection. Let's imagine you have to brake at 100 kilometers per hour. You need to have 100, 150, maybe more distance to brake. So that requires for the sensor to have this sensing capability with submicron accuracy. And when I mention submicron accuracy, that's when our material becomes important. A glue that is dimensional stable, that is consistent, that doesn't shrink. A thermal material that is doing the job without having some adhesion problem or thermal problem. That is also important to be able to make the right function of the sensor and be compliant with these new requirements. So the materials are evolving just like the new requirements. It's nothing new because it's always about thermal mitigation, about electromagnetic compatibility, reducing noise from radio frequencies or from the electromagnetic environment. But we are evolving our portfolio to meet better these challenges. For instance, with the thermal materials, we are optimizing the thermal resistance of the material, not only the thermal conductivity, we have a broad range of thermal conductivities. We are looking to different chemistries, so silicon-based materials, silicon-free materials, depending on the application. So it much depends on where the material is going to be fitted and the requirements of the customer. So we look to survey that the portfolio is following these requirements. On dual function of the materials, we have new generation materials having thermal and electromagnetic absorption functions. There's a very good fit, for instance, for radar applications. We have silicon-free thermal materials, very good fit for optical parts like LiDAR, like camera. And even, I mentioned before, we start with ultrasonic sensors. We have new generation of silicon potting materials to help dampen the vibration effect and protect the piezoelectric component. And also for that, we have a division within Henkel, the Sonderhof equipment platform, that is also very specialized in dosification and mixing of these materials for high process cycle requirements. So the challenges are there, the portfolio is evolving, and we try to have something that is very fit for the new requirements. Of course, there are different ways to make active alignment, but active alignment remains really a critical process to guarantee that the quality of the signal of the camera will be there. Many of our visitors are asking, as we mentioned before, the audience is software, hardware, but then they may not be super involved with active alignment. It's a very critical process during the production of a camera. Is when you are aligning your CMOS image sensor with the optical path of your camera. And for that, the bonding material, the adhesive you use to guarantee the right focus of this optical path is super relevant. Dimensional stability, low shrinkage, and that this becomes predictable from the material from production until reliability in the field, that is important. And that's how we are evolving our portfolio. So in the past, we had different dual cure mechanisms for the adhesives, UV light curing plus moisture, UV light plus heat cure. Now we are in the new generation of bonding materials having UV-only curing mechanism. So you have your full properties of the adhesive after only a few seconds of UV LED light exposure. That brings a lot of benefit for the camera makers. There are these new initiatives to have a smaller form factor of the camera, having a better fit for the new electrical and electronic architectures. And in this initiative, there's also the interest to have the simplest approach for the hardware, making the component with lesser materials, smaller parts, or influences that could affect the part. So for instance, before, a typical approach was to have the CMOS image sensor mounted on the PCB and perhaps protecting it with an underfill material, hopefully from Henkel. Now a new approach is to have the silicon of the CMOS sensor directly attached to the PCB. So that brings some different requirements, but luckily we have a semiconductor division and the know-how to bring this die attach on board level and the protection of the wire bonds. So all this is within our portfolio. I invite our customers and potential customers to start talking from the early stage as possible. We have an established portfolio that it can be a good reference for a starting point, but looking into the details, how they are working on the mechanical approach, on the reliability expectations, on the fitting in the vehicle, light vehicle or commercial vehicle, the best is to start talking at the early stage as possible. We can support with some pre-testing in our laboratories. We have equipment in all regions, North America, Europe, Asia. And we also have technology roadmaps that we like to have a dynamic exchange with our customers, knowing what can be solved tomorrow can be solved with a solid and robust portfolio. So that will be my key message. Please, let's start talk at the early stage as possible.